competition is competition over trade, with terminal as competitive units, logistics, transportation, and industrial company as a chains managers with the individual port authority, and as a developers with the port policymakers. The competitive position of a container port depends on its competitiveness to the host of shippers and shipping lines, which are linked to the container port for certain trade through geographical region and other points. In this video, we'll be separated to several parts to get this topic discussed in generally by the definition and component of competitive train of competitiveness of Malaysia seaport, and also for the global train, the advantage of port competitive, and also disadvantage of port competitive, that including the component of competitiveness clusters that have port efficiency, port services, and other related will be present.
The criteria for measuring seaport competitiveness change frequently. It is because of the enormous influence of institutional function, seaport competition, geographic growth, channel management, and change in the business environment. Measurement of seaport competitiveness is complex because the options for respective stakeholders to choose a seaport are varied. The component of seaport competitiveness has evolved from 1980 to 2018. Between 1980 and 1990, seaport competitiveness was primarily focused on the operational side of the port, which included seaport reliability, seaport cost, seaport facility, seaport equipment, and seaport services. Between 1990 and 2000, the focus of seaport competitiveness shifted from location to information, distance between origin and destination, seaport productivity, inland transportation, documentation, seaport labor, and rapidity. Furthermore, between 2001 and 2010, the focus of seaport competitiveness shifted mostly to IT application, value-added services, value-added logistics services, free trade zone, operational efficiency, reliability, government and economic policy, and safety and security. During the period of 2010 until 2018, the focus of variable in the competitiveness of seaport has shifted to inland transit time, corridor capacity, inland infrastructure, port hinterland and intermodal transportation, hinterland cargo demand, cost of inland transportation, seaport dwelling time, hinterland cost, rail services, inland waterway services, and availability of transport corridor. The change in the competitiveness scope reflect a high degree of participation of the economic system within the seaport hinterland with a broad international trade perspective, enabled by a high degree of accessibility to the hinterland and a wide geographic scope of freight distribution.
I will explain more about the trend of port competitiveness in Malaysia. The trend of port competitiveness in Malaysia has developed well according to the current maritime situation. As a result, There have been many changes in the maritime sector, especially an increase in multimodal transport infrastructure, which has further strengthened the strength of inland trade with port the use road and rail. Even in 1980s, there was a development in the increase in the number of containers and the establishment of new port in Malaysia. Apart from that, among the trends in the competitiveness of port in Malaysia is Malaysia's strategic geographic location, namely the country position between the Pacific and the Indian Ocean, which has affected the trend economy. They have many components that make the port competitiveness in Malaysia, namely port facility, port cost, quality of port service, terminal cost, and other. This indicates that the position, change and improvement in the port and the component available in the port has become a trend of port competitiveness in Malaysia.
Today I would like to talk about threat of competitiveness of Malaysia seaport and global threats. Firstly, 11 components of competitiveness in Malaysia's seaport system that are aligned with world trade are government policy, connectivity, reliability of seaport service, application of IT, inland costs, and more. Secondly, additional components such as inland service, hinterland network, safety and security, port policy, quality, and terminal productivity are not considered key elements to determine competitiveness. Malaysia has to change culture in politics and ethnic so they can help industry to develop other nations in sea. Some of the competitiveness in Malaysia seaport is well aligned with which of the world trade, while some not. Next, the comparison of the components of competitiveness. There is a competitiveness in Malaysia seaport and the world trend. Firstly, the component of competitiveness in Malaysia seaport that are parallel with the world trend, such as government policy, seaport service, port cost, port service, supply chains, inland costs, and more. Secondly, the components of competitiveness in Malaysia seaport that are not parallel with the world trend, such as safety and security, port policy, seaport productivity, and more.
Hi, my name is Osman and I will talk about the advantages of port competitiveness. The first advantage is that it can consolidating and strengthening the position and the importance of seaports as a center and gathering point for the system. This can happen with the help of the globalization of production and the emergence of the road plate by the network transport chain at the global level. The next advantage is the evolving of port development. A growing number of ports have adopted privatization, assuming that the process may lead to efficiency and lower costs, thereby enhancing competitiveness. Privatization is perceived to be the most important policy for improving the efficiency of the port sector. Last but not least, it changed the competitiveness of the port radically. Most ports today are competing with one another on a global scale, and the tremendous gains in productivity in ocean transport achieved over the past several decades. Ports are now perceived to be the remaining controllable components in improving the efficiency of ocean transport logistics. This has generated the drive today to improve port efficiency, lower cargo handling costs, and integrate port services with other components of the global distribution network.
I will continue this presentation to explain about a disadvantage of port competitiveness. First disadvantage is that to guarantee the cargo generating role of seaport. Shipping corporation began to establish the concept of transshipment by rearranging and combining maritime trade movement. They have a little or no relation with available cargo quantities in or to hinterland of the concerned port. but are dependent on the port strategic location in worldwide network chain, as well as unique port characteristics such as available capacity, operation efficiency, price level, and so on. Okay, for the second point is increase in environmental pollution. As we know, the shipping industry has long been known a highly pollution mode of transportation. With the competition, automatically the number of ships will be more concentrated in the port that has the best facilities. That is what contributes to pollution in the port areas. Okay, the last point is the point, high cost to compete. As we know, more and more systems are used in the port in line with the development of technology. To compete with other ports, a large expenditure have to be incurred by the company to upgrade the infrastructure in the port, such as communication system, transportation system, increase the area of container storage space, and so on.
My name is Asmalina binti Awangno. My metric number S54874. For the conclusion, the components of competitiveness in Malaysian ports and global competitiveness trends are mixed, as some components are parallel and some are not in line with the global scenario, while some components are in line with world trends. Malaysian ports need to focus on competitive components that are not in line with world trends and the global scenario. Its components are port congestion, land services, port reliability, inland network, safety and security, port policy, port productivity, politics and terminal productivity. Therefore, from the result obtained, the Malaysian government and ports can review their port policies to enhance the attractiveness of these important nodes. That's all from me. Thank you.